Greetings, Catholic business leaders and those who want to have a more principled business system. This is the Catholic CEO, Henry Katarna. Thanks for joining me today. Check out our website, www.thecatholicceo.com, for many offerings and tools to accelerate and improve your business situation. My topic today is in the series on the Catholic economy. I'd like to discuss general principles with you today. What does the Catholic economy look like? What is it? Is it something that we need to aspire to? Well, first of all, the Catholic economy is one in which I could make you 5 or 6 points here. First, Catholics can freely evangelize the culture with no cancel culture, no legal consequences. That's an ideal state of affairs in the Catholic economy. In such a situation where we can freely evangelize, that means that we could be able to speak in the public forum, in the marketplace, inside our businesses, in all of our publications, through our products. Not that we're selling Catholic products necessarily, although we could, but we could be Catholics running Catholic businesses, selling all kinds of good products, good and wholesome products. If we could freely evangelize in the culture with no negative consequences, that would be a hallmark of a Catholic economy and something worth pursuing. So that's number one. Number two is the Catholic economy would be one in which the Catholic family, the family in general, may I say, is supported, where the father and the mother, in cases of intact families, which we hope is the case, can fulfill their role in both the procreative and unitive aspects of their marriage and educate their children to get everyone to heaven. If that's a hallmark of the Catholic economy, that's what would happen. We would create an economic system, a business system, which I'll elaborate on a little bit more today, in which we could do that. We could support the family, which is the fundamental unit of society, contrary to what everybody's saying these days, contrary to what we're constantly being told. The Catholic family, the family in general, is the fundamental unit of society. There are many tragic circumstances in which the family is not necessarily intact. We understand that. And parenthetically, we would want to support extra well those families in which the ideal model does not exist or cannot exist or has failed for one reason or other. A third hallmark of a Catholic economy is one in which jobs and training are available to fellow Catholics. A place where you can, if you want to work for a Catholic business that follows Catholic principles, that overtly does it, you could find such a job. There would be a job market, a well-defined job market where Catholics could seek jobs, seek employment, seek a career, seek a change of career, seek part-time work, seek full-time work, and find fulfilling work run in a Catholic manner through businesses and opportunities that overtly and faithfully follow Catholic principles. Wouldn't that be a principle to follow? That's a hallmark that we want to achieve. A fourth hallmark of a Catholic economy is business startup advice and mentoring would be available. There would be many sources, places that you could go. You're a Catholic wanting to build a home-based business. You want to support your family. You want to move from a corporate or downtown kind of job in the big corporate economy that may not be supporting Catholic principles. And you go to start your own business, or you go to work for a smaller business, and you could find advice. You could surround yourself with a group of people that have been there, done that, can give you all the lessons. Wouldn't that be interesting? There is some of that available. The Catholic CEO believes that we are part of that system, but there's need for much more of this. Another hallmark of the Catholic economy, capital, financing, is available. Yes, the regular financial and banking system would still be in place. I don't foresee a scenario where we can replace the entire banking system, but I don't imagine that we couldn't do something significant along the way. If we created an economic powerhouse of Catholic businesses following Catholic principles, we could be a significant part of the economy. And if we became a significant part of the economy, people would pay attention. I'll mention more about that in a few minutes. But capital, financing, bank, private loans, investment capital, angel financing, venture capital financing. Imagine if there were pools of capital like that available, even a startup loan, small scale, like the old credit unions used to do in parishes, where they would provide a small scale micro loan to help somebody get started, especially somebody where the conventional banking system wasn't paying attention or wasn't able to deal with the situation or didn't want to deal with the situation. What we would then have is Catholic businesses run by Catholics in a Catholic manner. If this were possible, and if these were the hallmarks, we would have a very powerful force in the economic system. Why would we want to do that? Well, because we could then be free to practice the Catholic faith. We could evangelize the world. We could carry out the gospel imperative. We could do all these things freely and with great influence in the economy. Although it's not a justification for what I have proposed here, it's clear that many other groups in society have done this for centuries. All you need to do is look around in your local community and you'll see groupings of people, whether by common belief or common origin, common background, common pursuits, common work, common ethics, common principles, common interests. People gather together and they produce usually good economic results because they pay attention, they look out for that. So those are the sort of the what of how a Catholic economy would operate. And I'm doing this at a very high level today. This is a very short introduction, and we will continue to delve into these topics in each of our podcasts. What are some points about how it would work? Well, here's 4 or 5 ways it would work. Well, number one is we would buy from each other. Catholics would buy from each other. And a common objection to this principle would be, well, why should we buy from Catholics only? What if I can get a better deal elsewhere? Well, okay, an understandable point, perhaps. But on the other hand, if you're going to follow Catholic principles and you're going to behave in a Catholic manner, wouldn't you want to pay the price, whatever it might be for that? And paying the price doesn't mean that you're a charity or that you go out of business or that you run a business in a completely sloppy manner. In fact, the Catholic business, in my estimation, is going to be very adept at analyzing financially every move it makes, every scenario, simulating with great detail in a very impressive spreadsheet kind of analysis. And it won't be hard to do because there are templates available. We have them available as well. We can help you. But imagine if we could calculate with great precision the impact on our business of operating in a Catholic fashion and then being able to buy from each other, as my simple example would suggest. If we could buy from each other, we could then become a greater powerhouse in the economy. And after that happens, then we're going to start getting greater advantages in the financial system. We're going to be able to get better deals. If a group of Catholic business people went to a supplier, a common supplier, and let's say by the hundreds, by the dozens, by the thousands of Catholic businesses, if we went to our suppliers Don't you think they would respond? Don't you think they would give us a better deal because we come in and we say, oh, by the way, we have 5,000 businesses here, 5,000 small businesses, and they all need this service or that product or that service. What kind of a deal can you give us? That could be impressive. That's one example. We could sell to each other. Imagine how great that would be. We would then have a ready market. Catholics, customers, clients would support our businesses by paying attention to buying from Catholic-run businesses that would operate on certain principles that are, you might call them ethical principles, ethical investment type principles, where Catholic customers would look around and they would be able to distinguish us in the marketplace. They would be able to say, that's a Catholic business. I know that because look at their employment policies. Look at how they deal with people. Look at how they support their family. Look at how they support their community and charitable causes. Look at how they support their parishes. Look at how they support the evangelization of peoples and the gospel proclamation to people. If we had simply directories and listings, yes, but also clear messaging in our media that show that Catholic businesses are different. They operate differently than the rest of the businesses do. Don't you think Catholics would then be interested in following those businesses and deliberately buying from them? Yes, I think so. And so we could then sell to each other. Here's another one. We could treat employees better than the law requires, better than the current culture suggests, better than what's being done elsewhere in companies. Surely we could create a system where we get the same productivity because we would be operating with principled people working for us, not necessarily 100% Catholic, but if so, even if 100% Catholic, all the more reason to have an expectation of high performance, high Catholic performance, and therefore ethical production and ethical labor, ethical contribution to work. But if we could guarantee that to our customers, they also would look at us and say, wow, that's a place I want to work. I'd like to work there because I can have a full career there. I can be respected for my family. I can get a better deal. I can be paid, at market or better. Going back to my financial analysis capability, there's no reason we can't simulate how to pay 5% above market and therefore attract people and make a contribution to the living wage concept, which is considered by many to be an outdated concept and considered by many to be inimical to the doctrine of feminism. But if feminism has brought women into the workforce, it has had a significant effect on the wage rate. If you double the number of participants in the workforce, you're going to cut the wages. And so I'm not here to give a lecture on feminism and wage rates, but I am here to suggest that Catholic businesses could pay better than what the law requires, better than what custom suggests. And maybe then we would support the family and make a contribution, a step towards a living wage. That's possibly what could happen. We could have better benefits. We could have medical and dental and other benefit packages that are pro-life, that are not negative, that don't rely on the woke culture practices that are out there and that we're being pressured increasingly to adopt. We could be different than that. We could be different. We could also signal our Catholicism. Imagine if Catholic businesses physically displayed items such as Catholic art, crucifixes, religious items, the 10 Commandments, statements that suggest that even if we serve a broader public and we welcome everyone, which we do and we will, it should be clear that we're Catholic. And if we are clear that we're Catholic and we clearly signal so, wouldn't it be interesting to see the effect on the economy if other Catholics seek us out, particularly? So you can see what I'm suggesting here, all of these high-level principles and these specific actions or specific results can actually be beneficial in the creation of a Catholic economy, all the while supporting our families, supporting the Catholic principles, supporting the ability for parents to raise their children and get them to heaven, which is, of course, the ultimate goal. Here are some ideas on who will start to pay attention if we do this. Just think about this. There's probably 5 or 6 of these I could give you. First of all, legislators. Legislators are going to pay attention to what the Catholic economy says. It will become a lobby group. It will become a group that has to be paid attention to. Today, it's very diffuse, very diverse. The Catholic economy doesn't exist in the same way that we're talking about here. It does not exist yet. It may have been in place, may have been lost. But imagine if we had economic power in the form that we've been discussing this afternoon in the Catholic economy. Legislators would pay attention because they would see that we are a voting bloc. I'm not saying we have to vote all in the same way. That's a whole other topic, which we'll discuss at another point. But in general, if Catholic businesses all operated in a certain manner and lobbied and pushed for, let's say, living wage possibilities or benefit packages or legislation or laws or regulations that support Catholic principles, if we were an economic powerhouse, legislators would pay attention. The corporate marketers, let's think about them for a second. The corporate marketers would pay attention, and maybe they would clean up their act. If Catholic consumers, as part of the Catholic economy, began behaving in concert, together, unified, and put their demands forward to the marketplace, we will not buy products unless they say this, this, or this, or unless they're made with this, this, and this. Principles of justice, according to living wage conditions, no matter whether domestically or in a third world. If we constantly spoke with that kind of language, and we're an actual economic powerhouse with capital, corporations, businesses, large and small, economic results, we could change the face of corporate marketing in our world. Here's another one, the financial and banking system. Currently, Catholics are, I would say, invisible to the financial and banking system. There is no sort of concerted group called Catholics that the banking system pays attention to. Banks pay attention to small business, minorities, women, first-time entrepreneurs, and probably dozens of other categories. And I know that I know people in the banking system who confirm for me that they have a very detailed segmentation process that goes on, which understands then who's out there in the economy to which they should cater and to which they try to attract customers, from which they try to attract customers. Imagine if we had economic power and we went to the banking system and said, capital, please, to be made available to small home-based businesses, loans at privileged rates, loans in advantaged circumstances, loans to help revitalize an area, a town, a city, or a part of your municipal area, your metropolitan area. If we did such a thing, the banking system would pay attention more than it does today. The financial system would as well. Angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, business rehabilitation zones, all these models would start to pay attention if Catholics who formed part of a Catholic economy came to them and said, we want to do this. We want to create a development plan in our municipality that includes a central feature being our parish church and the school system associated with it, and so on. If Catholics formed a Catholic economy, we would be heard by the banking and financial system. Think about our suppliers. Just to go back to the supplier example again, if we started to create a Catholic economy and we said to our suppliers, provide us products made fairly with a just wage under good working conditions, fair trade principles, etc., etc. You know the concept. Other groups do that in society, but if the Catholics did that and we had a Catholic economy that was an economic powerhouse, we could go to our suppliers and we could demand better treatment for fellow man. We could demand better quality. We could demand better working conditions for our suppliers. And we would then elevate in manner of justice, we could elevate then the living standard of other people in the world, which is not necessarily a Catholic norm. It's not something that we're called to do by the gospel exactly, but it's a charitable act. And so if a byproduct of our move towards creating a much more powerful Catholic economy could be greater economic impact on individual wages of people making our supplies, giving them a higher priority, making better offers, heading towards a living wage, that could be a byproduct. And finally, the effect on families, coming back once again, the central focus, the central unit in society is the family. And if a Catholic economy were an economic powerhouse, we would then focus all of these benefits, all of these moves on our families. And so we might be able to provide, for example, a situation where a father in the traditional family does not have to leave the home for 8 or 10 hours a day. And the children never see that father in the home all day long. Imagine if the father was at home working in the shop or the garage or in an outbuilding on a family business or on a business that required his attention, but in the home environment, not away in some nondescript building downtown or some other factory or some other commercial building. Then the children would see the father at lunchtime, at break time, at prayer time, at various parts of the day. And they could see the father toiling away for the family. You see, if the father leaves the house and goes away for 10 hours, the children don't see the toil, the work, the effort, the problem solving, the dealing with challenges. There's no chance for the father to teach those virtues and those values to the children. If the father worked at home, even on the farm, or in some sort of a business that followed Catholic principles and was part of the Catholic economy, the children would see. And if the mother, if it's a traditional Catholic family and the mother's at home, homeschooling the children, not relying on publicly funded education system, raising children in the Catholic faith, teaching them their prayers and their duties, and teaching them about the world system, using a narrative that's Catholic and a worldview that's Catholic. What a wonderful system that would be. And that's not a utopian model. That's a doable model, in my opinion. All it takes is for the Catholic economy to prevail and the Catholic economy to flourish. If that's possible, and it is possible, I believe, we could do this. And so many of my remarks today are really exhortations. Let's do this. Let's push for this. There's a good reason to do this, and we can do this. We can solve this. We can definitely do this. What's our next move, you might ask? Lots of moves. Complicated. Start businesses. I've got 4 points here. Start businesses. Consider leaving your corporate job where you're going to increasingly get pressured to choose between your family and your income, an impossible choice. To choose between your faith and your income, another impossible choice. Consider moving away from that world. Start your own business. Move to a part-time job or get a side gig. Leave your corporate permanent job, get a side gig, plan to start a business, begin working on starting a business. Simply the very simple act of moving from a corporate job to a part-time gig and working on a startup, perhaps near your home or at your home, if you do the calculations, you might be pleasantly surprised at how little income has to be replaced, actually. By the time you net out commute costs, gas, second vehicle, clothing, lunch out, extra spending, all that usual stuff that accompanies the corporate world. If we had a Catholic economy, we could have many Catholic businesses, and they could be prosperous, and we could provide an alternative. Start local. Here's another next move. Start local. Doctrine of subsidiarity. Start at your parish. Form a little capital pool. Start a credit union like they used to be. Start a small co-op. Start a small business. Start a pool of advisors. Get people together who've done this and been there, done that, and know what they're talking about. Help those who want to make the move from the corporate downtown job to a Catholic economy kind of job. Start local. If we did this, and every parish had 1 or 2 or 3 new businesses every few months starting, financed perhaps by others who have had more successful businesses in the past, who have capital, or even a local bank branch suddenly realizes that there's a market in your town or your city where there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 50 parishes, suddenly all demanding capital, but setting a set of principles and goals. The banks would pay attention. Another next move, start now. Yes, think carefully, plan, make sure you have time, headspace, that your health is in order, that your emotional and mental state is in order, priorities are set, your life is balanced. Sure, all of the above, of course. But start now. Why wait? What are we waiting for? What's the move? Is it going to get better out there in corporate world? Are we going to see reduced pressure on us as Catholics to conform to a culture that's woke and secular and that is inimical to the Catholic faith? I don't think so. There's no reasonable forecast of any kind that says we're going to get any better. In fact, the pressure will be higher on you to do things that are against the Catholic faith. Start now. Start small business groups. We have at the Catholic CEO something called the St. Joseph Forum, which is a group of up to 12 business leaders working together on a regular basis, a short time, 90 minutes, 2 hours, once a month or twice a month, depending on the intensity with which they want to work, under the leadership of a trained facilitator, solving business problems in real time, continuously mentoring, not just one time, but on a continuous basis, moderately priced. I'm not just giving an ad for the St. Joseph Forum. I'm suggesting that there are many models that could work. But if we started at the parish level or the local community level with Catholics trying to start businesses and trying to employ their fellow Catholics, or trying to expand their business so that they could employ fellow Catholics and so that they could provide perhaps a pool of capital so that others can start. You can see the rolling effect of this, the knock-on effect of what's possible here. So today, the Catholic economy. What does it look like? What are some of the principles? What are some of the effects? Can it happen? Certainly, I believe it can happen. And I think you might want to join us in this effort. If we created a Catholic economy, we can change the culture. We don't have to be negative, in despair, pointing out that we may never be able to change the culture. The culture keeps closing in on us and squeezing us. We can fight back. We can make moves. We can start now to create a Catholic economy, which then, as it becomes increasingly strong as an economic powerhouse, can change legislation, can change the banking system, can change the financial system, can change the culture. And that's what it takes. We can live our Catholic faith, run Catholic businesses that behave in a certain way, in a highly principled way. We can give example to our neighbors and friends who are not Catholic. There are many people, I know you have friends, and so do I, that are not Catholic, but who want to follow a more principled way of doing business. They're searching for this too. And what better way for us to exemplify the gospel to those friends of ours and those relatives of ours, those family members, by creating a Catholic economy and following a certain set of practices and principled approaches to support our families and to create a very powerful force in our economic system. Let's talk some more about this. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. Send us comments. Think about this. Let's start working on an action plan to do this. It's the Catholic CEO, Henry Katarna. Thanks for joining me today.